Toon review. If you haven't checked out his channel, I put a link in the description below. Our conversations seem to be really popular, Paul.
Indeed.
They like to hear what we've got to say.
It's a bit like Ian right now and Shearer, what can I say? Except...
Well, I've got the baldy head. But frustrating, but Paul. We should and could have won that game. We had the chances. We had a disallowed goal. I haven't had the benefit of seeing that 2 or 3 times yet. Isaac fluffed a shot in the first half. What do you think?
Well, for Isak, I think he had too much time, Eddie. I think he was through on goal, and he ran 40-50 yards with the ball, and he could have placed it either side. And I think he tried to dink it over the keeper in the end. But you know what? That's going to happen. He's getting in the positions. It's his second game in the Premier League. I'm not going to say anything negative about him. I thought his performance, quiet first half, but second half, some of the through balls he was playing, some of our lads just weren't football brain switched on. He was a step ahead of them. And that's where the likes of Maxi and Bruno coming back, and even Callum Wilson playing with him, he'd be switched on to those through balls. So not all doom and gloom.
Do you think Callum Wilson will play up front with Isaac?
I think it's an option. I think Isak and Maxi on each side and Wilson through the middle. Wilson played on the right-hand side, I believe, at Everton last season and got 2 goals. So we'll see. I think it's certainly an option which Eddie will look at, but I think Eddie got it wrong today. I think he got it wrong with Fraser. I think Anderson should have started. Fraser has not given... look, he runs. You can't take anything away from his effort, but... there's nothing there. There's no final ball. There's no delivery. And Anderson came on that last 20 minutes, and he did more in that 20 minutes than the whole 70 that Fraser was on the pitch.
He's done that the last 2 or 3 times he's come on. Elliot, I think I'm in agreement. I think everybody else is in agreement with Elliot Anderson. The only thing I can think of is that Eddie Howe was just grooming him in slowly, because he's still a young lad. But I wholeheartedly believe that he's going to be a first-team regular, because he's that good, I think.
I do as well, but I think I'm along the lines of, if you're good enough, you're old enough. And I think, yes, blend him in a little bit, but he's had a few games coming on as sub now. And I genuinely think if Maxi's not fit for West Ham next week, he's got to play Elliot Anderson. He gives so much more. He's skillful on the ball. He gets deliveries into the box, which Fraser's not doing. And that's the difference. Isak will thrive if he gets regular deliveries in the box. They're not coming. And then it's frustrating. So I think if Maxi's not fit, then play him. Give him a start. And you can always take him off after an hour or 70 minutes if he's quiet.
And put Fraser on.
Yeah.
That's what I would do against West Ham. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I would do. Disallowed goal. What did you think?
Well, I've seen it again on the big screen after the decision was made, and I can't see where the foul is. I'll have to look at it again, obviously, but the amount of boos that came up when they played the replay says to me that a lot of people were thinking the same. Willock put his head in where it really hurts, and he wasn't even thinking of fouling a player. But I think the goalkeeper swayed the referee because there was nothing wrong with him at the end of the day. But listen, the referee was poor again. How many times are we going to say that? The standard of refereeing at the beginning of this season has been dreadful, simply dreadful.
Mm-hmm. So I made this point as well in other interviews that we missed Bruno and Maxi against Liverpool, but I thought we were by and large outstanding. More or less the same team today. Something was missing. What do you think it was?
I think they were tired, if in all honesty. I think Wednesday took a lot out of them. Obviously 3 games in a week, it's hard work. Well, it's 3 games in 6 days really, isn't it? So they've had to work hard, and I think fitness told in the game. But listen, they still battled on. It's not like we've lost the game. It feels like we've lost for some reason, but we haven't. It was just one of those frustrating games where nothing really came off. VAR's done us again, which is again frustrating. It's just worrying how many times we're going to come out of matches and talk about VAR. We shouldn't have to talk about them. Simple decisions should be made. There was nothing wrong with that goal. Yes, there was a clash, but it wasn't a foul. That's the difference. And the referee bottled it for me. He absolutely bottled it. Zaha went down 3 times that I counted. Blatant dives. Where's the yellow cards? There's no consistency in the game at the minute. And the referees, I don't know who's training them or who's giving them instruction, but I'm starting to think, and it's crazy to think, but I'm starting to think that they are something against this club.
Yeah, it was. The standard of refereeing today was disappointing. I have to agree with that. At the end of the game, Paul, the moment the whistle went, the crowd were booing. Now, from where I was sat, it was like,
I did hear some.
I thought, what's going on here? What are you doing? If it was towards the referee, it's normally when he's walking off. My impression was, when I heard that booing, was disappointment at Newcastle not beating Crystal Palace. And if it was that, I just think get a grip.
Yeah.
You know, get a grip. You know, we need the fan base behind us 100%. There was a point in the match in the second half. Isak went to the lasers end, and he was doing this.
Yeah, you
come on.
right.
The atmosphere was really quite flat, and then we need more from the fans. We certainly don't want boos at the end.
I was disappointed. There was booze at half time as well. And look, fans have got to realise that, this isn't a quick overnight fix. This is 15 years of neglect. And the owners and Eddie Howe are doing it as best they can. Now, yes, I've criticised Eddie Howe today. He's not beyond criticism. If I think he's made a mistake, I'll say it, like anybody would. But that doesn't mean to say that I'm not a supporter of Eddie Howe. I love him. But he has made, for me, a mistake today. Again, bringing Miggy off, I didn't understand that for a second. He was our best player. He put himself about today, and he pulls him off and he puts Murphy on, who is nowhere near good enough. How many times are we going to say this? Almiron for Murphy. Every single game, and even Miggy was frustrated there today. But fans are going to have to realise that we're going to get frustrating games like this. We are, until it's going to take a couple of years. And they've got to get it into their heads that it's not going to be an overnight fix, and that we are going to be where Man City are in the Liverpools in a few years' time. There's no doubt about that. But what is going to happen is we're going to hit brick wall somewhere along the way, and today was one of them, where nothing came off. But
yeah, too many fans, I think, expecting too much too soon.
Yep.
It's a consolidation season. We're a mid-table team at the moment. We might finish anywhere between 7th and 8th and 12th.
Yeah.
But the good thing is we're not in any relegation battle, or we're not going to be.
But that's the thing, Eddie. That's where they have to look back to this time last year when we were all coming out this ground match after match with our heads down. It was a walk of shame coming out the ground. And now there's so much to look forward to. There's so much excitement. Yes, we're going to have bumps along the way, but don't boo them. You know what I mean? Today, we just ran out of steam. It's as simple as that. We're knackered. But that says to me that, we need to look at the squad depth again in January and next summer, which they will continue to do and which will keep happening. But for me, disappointed to hear the boos. We move on and we take on West Ham next week. We've got a week's rest. Hopefully get a couple of players back from injury and we'll be away again.
Well said. We'll get behind the club. And I think you already answered my next question, because for me, Miggy was the man of the match, and I'm perplexed as to why he come off.
Yeah.
And you said for you, he's your best man.
Well, look, Miggy's not the best finisher in the world. I think we all know that. Once in a blue moon, he'll stick it in the top corner. But what he gave today was defending, attacking, cutting in. He was causing all sorts of problems, and he still was in the second half. And he was still our best player in the second half. And then when he saw his number go up, he was absolutely devastated, because him and Anderson on that each side could have changed it. They could have swapped over. I'd like to see Miggy on the other side, on his right, his left foot, instead of cutting back all the time. He'd be able to swing first time crosses in.
And Elliot's a natural right footer as well.
Yeah, and it's but I mean, Elliot Anderson's more. I think he can play more two-footed than Miggy can. But it's just those little niggles that I've got that Eddie just has this thing with Murphy. I don't know what it is. But I was fuming with Murphy on Wednesday. He was on for 8 minutes or something, and in that 8 minutes he had 5 50-50 tackles which he bottled. And then today, he did nothing. So it's frustrating, but you're going to get these, and you have to move on. And West Ham, here we come.
Yeah. Well said, Paul. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.